Hi all, this is Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set this gorgeous cameo of Medusa. It's got sharp corners and that can be a little stressful for people, so I'm going to show you all my tricks.
So I just want to show off this unfucking believably amazing pendant that Susie made. We've got this gorgeous carved Medusa by Polly Carvings, and we've just been tweaking the bezel and getting the height right and all that kind of thing. And I tell you what, I think we're ready to set.
It's not like a shell. It's an
No.
agate. So because I was like, what if I break? I could. I would just put some glue on it and stick it
That's
together.
fucking right. Don't worry.
Dug up from. You're not gluing it, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
We love the little bits. It's real life studio scenarios.
No, she's not gonna say a
Yeah,
word.
exactly. Now she's like, all her secrets revealed.
Our deepest fears.
That's right. Okay, so take a lick. Take a lick.
Oh dear God. Dear Jeebus, help
Not a
me.
good start.
So it's been a very long week. We'll start with that because I just got back from a trip and right back to teaching. So I'm a little, but jewelry making skill always remains. The verbal ability does go straight to shit. But so like I was showing you before, this unbelievably beautiful, which of course now you can't really see any of the bits of it, but this beautiful Medusa pendant. So we have done, as always, we have mummified, where we put a couple layers of tape because everybody slips occasionally. And that's just a part of life, and therefore it is always wise to protect. Yes, mummified. So everything's been mummified. We also put a little bit of tape on top of Medusa's face. It's not a strict necessity, but sometimes it can't hurt to put a little extra cushion there. But you have to make sure you leave plenty of room to set. Like you can't like cover the whole top and then get a bunch of tape in your bezel, because then you won't be able to see shit, and that's a problem. And also, like if you look at that shape, those are not super sharp peaks, but it does have corners. And just like any bezel we do with corners, the whole important thing is you start with the sharpest point and you, I mean, I literally think of like you take the bezel and you sweep it away from the points, because if you do that, you'll get a nice tight corner and everything will go beautiful and amazing. If you're pushing the metal toward the points, you are lafite. Don't do that. It is shockingly difficult to get it back out once you've put it in there, because you think, oh, it's not that hard of a metal, blah blah blah. You try to get it, the space, the things back out, you just can't get it, and then you end up with gaps at the points, and you know what I mean, all the bad things. So don't do that, and you're never going to have that problem. So what I'm going to do, like always, my master setting tool set. In the palm of my hand, thumb and forefinger on either side, put the elbow up in the air. So usually I put my finger kind of on top of the stone to kind of press it down a little bit, because sometimes they bounce around in there a little bit and I want to make sure it's not wiggling. And I'm going to start with this corner. So I'm going to press in and roll the bezel out. And then you see what that does? Beautiful. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to do all four corners until they're pretty much done. And then you just have the little sections in the middle to do, which usually is not really very much at all. So when you have a point and you don't want it to like get too rounded, you want to emphasize the nice shape, you don't really put the tool absolutely on the corner. You go like 1 degree to the side and roll the extra out. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Press in and roll outward, and like you see what I mean, like it makes like mwah, so beautiful. So I'm going to do it once or twice more until that corner is more or less finished, and then I'm going to do the other corners. So one thing that I want to emphasize that of course we already did is the bezel is at a really good height, meaning there's just a little bit of metal above. If you have too much metal above here, then when you round it over, it kind of spreads out and looks a little more irregular, which can be a beautiful look for certain things, but for something like this, you really want to maintain the shape. So, every time we show a step, the truth is everything is based on the step before it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like you build those foundational skills. If your bezel fits well, your setting is going to go well, etc., etc. So I'm going to do another couple little things so you can see it, and then we will leave Susie to her own devices for a little bit, and then we'll check back in with her. Right? So I'm going to try to put this here. So you see how you take this and you press in and you roll it out. Take this, you press in and roll it out. And you see how that just follows the shape of the stone really beautifully?
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, so what I want you to do now, I want you to do the one across, and we'll do the other ones. And then, like I said, we'll check back in and see what help you need. But
Okay, if
really,
I start screaming.
if you start screaming, I will indeed come over. I can promise you that. But it looks really, really good. Okay?
Out of the way.
So Susie was working on the corner, but we do have, if you look right here, you see that little gap right there? And as I was so eloquently saying, that's got to fucking go. So we got to get that out right now. Which I'm going to shove it with my tool, which, you know, low tech but effective. So you're going to take this, I'm going to press in and roll it out. You see what I mean? Press in and roll it out, and you see how it's disappearing? See? Take a look. Don't stick your head in there right now. You'd be sorry. No, I'm just kidding. You can't let those spaces live in the corners because they'll always be there and it doesn't really look great. And it's got to go.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's best to clean them up first.
See? Peggy knows what's up. Basically, you know, anything you're working on, the further you push it down the chain, you know what I mean, or down the road, the worse it gets. It's like, it's always cheapest to pay up front, you know? So
Jeanette, are you doing anything differently to get to that space than you did before? Are you like positioning the tool in it? It's just
No.
more of the same.
yeah,
Okay.
little violence. And I just, if you notice also, like, when I'm setting, you know, you don't see my hand doing a lot of this. If you're doing this, that means you're trying to use the force of your hand to set, that's not really what it's for. Your hand is just to hold the tool and be in position. All my force comes from my shoulder. So once I get this in position, for example,
Higher to.
we can to finish it, but to move that space in, you don't have to go higher. All the force is coming from my shoulder. So I get my tool in place, right? And I lean in. I lean in from here. That's all it is. Because people will always say like, oh, I don't have enough strength. My hands aren't strong. Your hands don't need to be fucking strong. You shouldn't be trying to use the force of your hands. Because A, it hurts your hands, like physically. And B, it sucks. So neither of those things are good. Okay? So
Okay.
lean in from your shoulder. You know what I mean?
So what would be the next step for her? Does she go to the next, another corner, or does she continue on the same?
She's
area?
got like a tiny little space over here. Like she has got a little bit more to do in the corners before she proceeds to anything else. Because like I said, you don't go out here until the sharp corners are all pretty much just the way you want them to be. Okay? And Peggy, you got a serious charcoal situation, so keep that in mind.
Do I really? Okay.
So you see, the bezel is looking good. Susie's done a great job on the corners. So now we're going to start working on the little sections in the middle, which usually take really very little time. So we're getting near the finish line.
All right.
So like I was showing you, the corners really look pretty good, and we're going to work on those little inside sections, but they're really easy. There's almost very little to do there. If you get the points nice, the other stuff almost takes care of itself. So for example, you know, same exact technique. I'm going to put my elbow up, rock it back and forth a little bit. See what I mean? It's like, it's really nothing to it. The corners are what gives you the agita. The rest of it is really very easy, okay? So I want you to go and do the other sides, and we'll like double check and look, you know, everything is, I'm always like check, 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 double check, triple check. And then we'll do a little polishing on top, and that's it.
Okay, that sounds good. But am I going to go around a few times?
Maybe.
Okay.
If there's any gaps, if anything needs to be smooth, that's why we do it and we look at it. You really just have to go until there's no space. I mean, the stone is definitely not moving, like that's not an issue, but we're just looking, we don't want to leave any little spaces between the stone and the bezels. You want them nice and filled in. So look at this fucking setting. Look how unbelievably beautiful it is. Wait, sorry, I'm gonna try to prop it up there so you can see. Look at how good that looks.
So we were just discussing off camera, you know, that this looks beautiful and gorgeous. So the only thing left then is usually I use a little Swifty wheel just on the top to smooth it and zhuzh it a little bit. And we were discussing how people will expect their setting or their piece to look good every step of the way. It won't. It will look like possibly crap most of those steps. And I made an analogy to when you first wake up in the morning. Are you looking your radiant best? No. A little combing, a little lip balm, you know, whatever. These things are necessary. So this looks great, but with a little polish on the top, that's when it's going to really just, you know, mwah. But that's all it needs. So we're going to de-shroud it, and then we'll do a little polish on the top, and then we'll just show it off to everybody. We're all just freaking out. We're like, oh my God, I love this fucking piece. It's so amazing. Look at that. Look at that. So we haven't done the polish on the very top edge, which we will do with our Swifty wheel, you know, which is safe for all stones. That's why we use it, because you won't damage your stone. But that's literally all that is required for this piece to be finished. It was fucking amazing and so beautiful. And I know the Paulies are going to be really proud when they see what a great job you've done showing off their beautiful Medusa. Ugh,
Oh, you're gonna send it to them.
fucking amazing. Yeah, I'm tagging the fuck out of them so that they can see this, because it's just mwah, so beautiful.